Hey guys, Liquid Fire here. Thanks for joining me again tonight. So, tonight we're going to kind of get out of game again for a little bit and do a pretty deep dive into the three crossbows that we have, leveraging the new Bear X Speed scope. After looking at the scopes a little more, it's just hands down the best scope we have for the crossbows. But there's some nuances, there's some idiosyncrasies, I guess you could say, with them. So we're going to spend some time walking through in a little more detail the scopes, the ranges, the accuracy, and build out an actual range chart so we can leverage the scope kind of like it's a mil dot type scope. And then we're going to go in game and take a look at how these three crossbows actually perform in game. The reality is, we already know they're deadly. It doesn't matter which one you use, they just are flat out deadly. But we will take a look at things and kind of try to showcase the differences and the weaks, strengths, and weaknesses of them. So, there's just a huge difference in power, but the reality is, at these ranges, that huge difference in power doesn't really matter. You're still able to take big predators or big animals at longer ranges, even with the bear constrictor. Now, I've not used the Harpe WonderHit much at all. I've used it a few times when it first came out, so I've not tried using it really. Gosh, it's been months since I've actually tried using it to hunt with. Whenever I've been using the compounds, it's always been well, not always, but for the last year and a half or whatever, it's been the Apex that I run. It's something I generally carry with me most of the time in game. So it's super powerful. The Bear Constrictor Pro, plenty powerful. Harpe WonderHit, maybe powerful enough, and we're going to go find out. So what I want to do is take this information and apply it in game. I want to go, we'll probably go to one of the backup saves and get a herd in close and then just reload the save to make it quicker. But I want to take a look at how these actual shots look from crossbow to crossbow to crossbow. So if we can get around 100 meters, how does the Harpy hit? What's it doing? How does the bear hit? How does the apex hit? If we change out the different arrows, if we're running the fixed blade versus a mechanical, how big of a difference are we seeing? So I want to try to take at least three, well, I guess two. Well, no, we'll try hitting with the stump too. I don't know if I've shot a deer with the stump. So we'll try the miracle point on a deer just for fun. But I want to have at least one comparative shot for each bolt from all three weapons at the same range. So we can really look at what it looks like in game, what the difference in damage is, how effective they are, and we've seen plenty of shots with the Apex in the over 300 yards now, or 300 meters now. Zeb's posting stuff over 300 all the time. So we know without a doubt that the Apex is going to do just fine. I've taken a moose through the shoulder at 100 meters with the bear, so I know it's going to do just fine. The Harpy, I just don't remember. I don't think I used it enough to really know. But we're going to take a look at it. We're going to compare the energies, take a look at the different cavity profiles, and really just try to compare the three and get a really good in-game feeling for what they look like. So I'm going to stop this here, get the game loaded up. I'm going to go find a herd. Maybe I can use the herd we were calling down in Nespers with the collars on. But I want to get a herd in game saved, backed up, so we can just use that herd again and again and again and go through these. So I'll be back in just a minute, guys. Okay, yes. So we're back. I did have to change locations because I didn't have the gear I needed, But we have a herd here in front of us. We're about 100 yards out. We do have these guys over here, which could create issues, but I think we're in pretty good shape. So we're going to start with the WonderHit here. We're going to use the fixed Broadhead, turn on Hunter Sense, and we're just going to find a nice shot at about 100 meters and put it in the lungs. We know what's going to happen. And he's dead. Zero surprise there. I suspect that's going to be a double lung, double crit, because we're using a crossbow, even though it's the Harpe. It should still be more than enough to knock him out. And I did try to shoot a little high to hit just lungs so we didn't hit that heart. And exactly what we expected. Hit with 117 joules. We're at a double critical. So zero surprise there whatsoever. It's exactly what we would expect. Alright, so what I will do is I'm going to pause it, jump back, reload this save, and we'll change to a different arrow and hit it so we can kind of get a look at how it looks. So kind of looking at the cavity, you can see it's fairly large. It's not massive, but it's fairly large. But the key here is it's the entire length. So lots of cavity damage from these guys. Alright, so that was 100.1 meters. Can't get much better than that. That was the fixed Broadhead. We're going to jump out and come back in with the mechanical Broadheads. Okay, so apparently I messed up the pause and unpause. So you won't get to see the shot, but we do have all the information here. So again, this is the Harpe WonderHit. We were looking at the Sky Impact 100, which is our mechanical broadheads, and we were hitting this at 100.8 meters. Now I wanted to kind of showcase the size of the cavity damage for this one, as it is certainly larger than it was with the with the fixed blade. It's kind of hard to see since I'm not moving it around, but if you take a look at it, you can tell that it is certainly bigger, which is what we would expect. It's a wider blade. So we're going to go ahead and jump back out and go over to a different crossbow and pick it from there. Okay, so we're back, same spot again after a reload, and we're going to use the stump and see what happens. Oops. I don't think I've shot anything big with the stump before. Alright, so we'll let him stand up. Yeah, he didn't care about that at all. That's kind of what I expected. If he stops close enough, though, I may try to get him just to see if there's any impact at all. Okay, so he stopped. Oh, they're going to take off again. Alright, well, nothing. We'll shoot a fox. All we're doing is pissing them off. Alright, so stumps are not effective against bigger stuff. Not really too surprising. Alright, so we're going to stop again here and go to a different crossbow. Okay, so we are back again. This time we've got the Constrictor Pro ready to go. We're going to put it on the fixed Broadhead since it was on the stump. Turn on hunter sense. And I don't think that's going to be surprising to anybody. Alright. Ooh, I almost put it too high. Jeez. And even way up there, we still got double critical on the lungs. We hit with 180 joules, and we just destroyed, both lungs, a lot of the artery. Surprised it didn't take the artery out completely, though. That was really, really high. But again, we're at 101 meters. It's just decimating the deer. We'll do the other ones just to get a look at how the cavity damage looks and stuff, but I don't think there's any surprise here to anybody. So you can kind of see how wide the cavity damage is on this here fixed broadhead. Alright, so we're going to pause, and then we're going to jump back in with the mechanical broadhead. Alright, so we're back again. This time we're going to take the Constrictor Pro and jump over to the mechanical broadheads and do more of the same. Where's my buck at? He moved further over, I guess. We're going to get blocked by the tree. Of course he would move on me. Alright, so what's our range here? Back up now. Ooh, only 87. How far is this guy? That's close enough. A little forward, but we'll do the deed. And again, this should not be the least bit surprising to anybody who's shot any of the crossbows in game. Just wanted to kind of go through and showcase exactly how they look at about the same range. And we were at 99.7. That wasn't as far forward as I thought it was. Again, double critical, so we double lunged him, hit at 180 joules. And on this one, the cavity damage doesn't appear to be as much larger as it was on the Harpe. Regardless of that, it still does the deed with absolutely no issues at all. And again, this is at 100 yards. This isn't your typical 40-50 meter shot. I say yards, it's meters, whatever. Yeah, this is stretching it out a little bit. This is on the upper end of the range for what the scope supports while you're in 5x mode. Now, yes, you can zoom out and you can use hunter sense stop much further out and hit long shots, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to kind of use it legitimately for what it's worth. All right, so we've done that. So we're going to pause again. I'll go grab the Apex, and we'll get a couple comparison shots there. And then here at the end, we'll use some screenshots and kind of compare them all and see what we're looking at. So let me pause this, and we'll be back in a minute. Alright, so we've got this elk. Alright. Sorry, everything just kind of got messed up. So I had to go up to the cabin to get the new crossbow. And when I came down, there was a fox in the way who created some issues with spooking, and ended up spooking the deer. And then noticed that elk way over here, so I wanted to go ahead and try taking him from a long range with the Harpe, which had really pushed my limits with it a little bit. Could have been smarter about it, but we'll see what we got blood-wise here in a second. But let's go over here and do 100 meters with the Apex here, just to show what that looks like. So what's our range? About 40 yards too far out. So we'll just get these guys down here. How far are we from you? 18. Alright, so I would rather be a nice broadside shot. Like even that would be better. Let's move in just a few yards closer. It's 101. Alright, so here we go. 100 meters. I guess that was a complete pass-through based on the way it seemed to have hopped. So, I just moved my mark. Let's go over here and see this blood real quick, and then we'll go check out what happened with the deer. If I can find this blood. Alright, where's he at? He was up, yeah, up there. And again, this shot was longer range into an elk. Look, lots of blood must expire nearby. Longer range elk with the WonderHit. And he's obviously down. Right there he is. Alright, so that's 160 meters. Not exactly a long shot. Wow. Got heart out of it. That's surprising. So we didn't get the double lung, but we had bleed damage on the heart, and we had bleed damage on the lungs. So even with the weakest crossbow on an elk, at 159 meters, we're still getting the job done. That was using the 2-inch mechanical broadhead, though. So I don't even think we really need to say anything else about deer after doing this. But let's go take a look at what the Apex did. Might as well finish what we started. And then we'll hit the Apex again with the mechanical broadhead after we reload one more time. I don't know if I can get across the string. I was way back. I didn't realize I was that far back. But again, 100 meters, double lung. Now, interestingly enough, where I was so far back, that left lung did not get a critical. Now, that's not anything to do with the energy, but it definitely didn't get the critical. Just enough of the cone, I guess, wasn't in there to get the critical. It would have bled regardless, but we got the critical on the far side where we did have it all the way in. So yeah, and again, this was the Apex, and we hit with 248 joules using the fixed blade. So we're going to pause everything again, jump out, go back to the herd, hopefully not spook them this time, and hit them with the mechanical broadhead. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we are back one more time. We're going to go ahead and jump over to the mechanical broadhead. Turn on 100 cents so we can get our yardage. I wish one of these guys would just turn broadside. Would really make things easy. So when I came down, I alerted everything. So if I alert them again, they're going to spook off. And I've got these foxes here very, very, very close. So I can try to sneak around. Oh, there we go. I think we're too close for him. 92 meters. I'm going to start backing up. That's going to have to be close enough. Well, if I had timed it right, we might have had a double. How far is that? It's 117. I don't want to throw the numbers off that far. And again, I'm not taking the shot because I don't think it'll work. We would easily bust them right there. I'm just trying to get the shots to be as similar as possible so we can take a look at how everything compares a little more one-to-one. These foxes are just right in the way. Oh, there we go. That guy's... That bush wasn't in the way. Nah, I guess he's still quarter. Well, now he's looking right at us. If one of these guys could just turn sideways for me. I could try to flank them, but with these foxes, just really run the risk of alerting them. And it feels like it's been a long time since I alerted the deer, but that's because I reloaded the save after one after that elk and the other deer. I'm gonna back up. Maybe this guy will give me a good opportunity. But it's not actually been that long since these guys... Oh, I'm dropping over a hill now. I just have to stand up. Take a standing shot. Again, we're not worried about being very accurate. Tell you what, if I can sneak over... Oh no, squat back down. Alright. It's not exactly broadside, but... Well, let's see where it goes. I think we're just going to go ahead and send it. Again, it's not like it matters. Everybody knows 100 meters on a deer, it's done. But we wanted to try to get it as like to like as we could so we can do some comparisons here at the end. And the game just crashed. Really? Again? Well, crash the rest of the way if you want to. No, it's just going to freeze up and stay here. Yeah, there seems to be something at play that didn't used to be, because I'm getting a ton more crashes now than I used to. Alright, so I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to have to shoot again. Yep, that's what I figured. Alright, so what's our range? But we're close to where we needed to go. Got the mechanical broadhead, innocence on. So we're at 100 meters. So as soon as he stands up, we'll pop him and try it again. Alright. Again, no surprise. 100 meters. Crossbow equals dead deer. And hopefully it doesn't crash this time when I try to claim him. Alright, here we go. Bump the button. Alright, so no crashing. And 255. Critical, critical. Exactly what you would expect. And I actually did put it all the way in the lung this time. Alright, so let's let this go through. You can see it looks like a little bit bigger cavity again, which is what we expect normally with the mechanical broadhead. So that's that. Quick and easy. So what I'm going to do is... Actually, I'm going to look and see if we see this elk down here. There he is. Let's go take a look at that elk. So we've got the mechanical broadhead. Let's zoom out. How far is he? He's 350. We got closer. Stop. Help. Stop. Alright. Elk down. Let's go see what those numbers line up as. Should be pretty close to 300. This is a little surprise. I wasn't expecting to take an ultra long shot at an elk. But when an opportunity presents itself, why not go ahead and try it? We're on a backup save that I'm not going to use anyway, so I wouldn't care at all what he is. So I'm just going to take a look at him. Alrighty, here we go. You can see dropped him right in his tracks. So 294 meters, we hit a spine. God. Well, that's not very useful. That doesn't tell us anything. Well, I guess it tells us you can take a spine shot. Alright, well, not the shot I was looking for, but here's the thing to look at. Look at the damage. So we hit at 198 joules at, call it 300 meters. Even if we had not hit spine, if we had hit lungs like we should have, that's dead. Just dead. We didn't hit it that hard with the WonderHit at 100 meters, and it died. So at 198 joules, I mean, you can see it's well within the range. You can drop way further. So it looks like you can drop all the way down to about 82 joules and still be in the preferred range for elk. So again, not at all surprising. With the crossbows, if you can hit it, you can kill it. Doesn't matter what it is. Bear, they're just as dead as anything else. Not a problem. I don't go for frontal shots with bear. I do prefer to hit broadside. But, yep. So 294, that's not bad. That's, I think, actually, that's a personal best for me, to be honest. It's not quite what Zeb's pulling off. I think he's over that 300 range, but you can see if you hit it, it's going to drop. So, alright, we're going to jump out here. I'll go pull the images and put together a little bit of a comparison, and then we'll take a look at how they actually stack up side by side so we can see what it looks like. But again, there's no surprise at all here, guys. It's the crossbows. They are just terminal. They kill everything. They're great. Are they OP? Probably. To be fair, yeah, they're probably OP. But are they as OP as a bow in the Hunter Classic? With these guys, you have to hit an organ. You're not going to get a single shot flesh kill. It's not going to just bleed out for no reason. You have to hit an organ. Maybe it's the spine like this, but you have to hit something in here beyond just flesh and bone. In Classic, you hit them in the leg, they bleed out. It's a little bit different. So yeah, they're OP. They are. But if you're willing to deal with what you have to deal with to use them, maybe that's a fair trade. All right, let me pause here, go get some images gathered and set up for us, and we'll jump back and go from there. All right, guys. So we've pulled up a couple pictures here. We've got the mule deer that we took with the WonderHit, both with the fixed blade and the mechanical blade. Now, I apologize. I wasn't thinking about doing the image compares when I was looking around at the animals, and I didn't do a great job of getting images that are going to be really easy to compare with. But I think that looking at these side by side, it should be enough to where you can really see what's going on. So if we take a look, our shot distance was 100.1 meters with the fixed blade. That's the Skyrazor 100 here on the left. And the mechanical was 100.8 meters. That's your Sky Impact 100. So that's the two different blades that we're wanting to compare. If we just kind of take a look at the damage here, the first thing that we want to notice is the actual energy at impact. So we impacted with 117 joules for both of the bolts. So that's nice and even. It's what we were expecting. We know that after looking at things that it seems that the energies and everything are exactly the same. Even when we look at the cavity damage, interestingly enough, they're almost exactly the same. So the penetration damage was 11, the cavity was 103. The penetration was 11, the cavity was 102. So this is where I'm going to defer over to Toothless and say that he's probably, and Bumblewoot as well, that they are probably better equipped to look at the differences in cavity. But the way I'm reading it, the way I see it, they're exactly the same. Now, what is different is the actual cavity cone. And I think that's where things could come into play. So if we look here on the left, our cavity cone for the WonderHit is relatively small compared to the size of the arrow. It's not, massively bigger. But over here on the right, when we look at the 2-inch mechanical broadhead, you can see, it's hard to see in here, but you can see that it's actually a larger ratio of the cavity damage to the arrow. Now, even if it's putting out the exact same amount of damage, what that's going to do is give you a little more freedom to be less accurate. It gives you a little more opportunity to pick up more organs along the way. So maybe you're close to the heart but don't actually hit it. You have a better chance of getting the cavity damage to be applied with the mechanical broadhead because it's giving you a wider swath of damage. So that cavity cone is bigger. That's important, especially if you ever miss your intended spot. So that's kind of huge. That's important to understand and to know. And again, we are just looking at the WonderHit here. So this is the weakest of the crossbows, and you can see at 100 meters, it's well within the range that it needs to be to do the damage. It's in the upper third of the recommended energy range. So we're good to go. No issues at all with that. Now let's take a jump over and look at the new Bear Constrictor. Okay, here we have the Bear Constrictor Pro, and again, the left-hand side is going to be the fixed broadhead. The right-hand side is going to be your mechanical, so we're keeping that the same. A couple things jump out. So first, we'll take a look at the energy and our ranges. So we were at 101 meters with the fixed blade, and we were at 99.7 with the mechanical, but our energies were still 180 each whenever we made impact. Again, we're very high in the energy needed range. So at 100 meters, plenty of power. Not an issue at all. If we look at the penetration energy, or damage. We've got 11 joules of penetration with 98 cavity. And over here, we've got 14 and 130. So when we look at the penetration damage on the fixed broadhead, we've got 11 joules and 98 for cavity, but for the mechanical broadhead, sorry, couldn't remember what it was called. For the mechanical broadhead, we have 14 and 130. So that's actually a really big jump for this particular crossbow. It's interesting that it's different. So we'll have to look at the Apex and see how it shows up, since these two are different. The key takeaway, though, regardless of all that, is they're both doing all the damage. Okay, they're taking things out, they're destroying it. So don't let any of this particular portion concern you with using the Constrictor Pro. It's going to drop everything just like any other crossbow. But there is one more thing to look at. So when we start looking at the actual size of the cavity damage, over here on the left with the mechanical broadhead, you can see roughly how big it is. But look over here on the right and notice that it's pretty much exactly the same size. Now that's the mechanical broadhead, which should have a wider blade, which should be giving you a wider cavity cone. For whatever reason, it's not. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. So some oddities for sure here. But again, the big takeaway is it works just fine. So let's take a look at the Apex now. All right, so we have the Apex up. Now, the first thing I want to mention again is the left-hand side is the fixed blade, and the right-hand side is going to be the mechanical. So same setup. We're looking at 100.7 meters versus 101.1, so fairly close. The energy is slightly different at 248 versus 255. I can't say for sure if that's related to the distance or something else. The key takeaway is we're in the top 3/4 of energy needed to take out the animal, either way you look at it. So lots of energy being used. Now, something that jumps out to me immediately is the size of the cavity cone is back to being much larger for the mechanical broadhead. So over here on the right hand side, you can see, it's very wide, to where on the left hand side it's scaled down much smaller. That makes sense. And it's interesting when we look at the penetration and cavity damage values. On the left hand side, even though we had a much smaller, a slightly smaller level of energy impacting, we have a penetration damage of 192. With the mechanical, we only had 165. The cavity damage was 21 versus 18. Okay, so the left one being slightly higher makes sense, being that the shot distance is closer, but then you would expect the total energy to have been higher as well, and it was lower. So I'm not going to try to explain it because I don't know for sure why that's a little contrary. But there's also another really odd change here. So when we looked at the WonderHit and when we looked at the Bear, the penetration damage was smaller and the cavity damage was much larger. So if we go back and look at, we'll just grab one of these, you can see that the cavity damage is bigger. So back over here, we can see that these are flipped. Now, initially, it seemed like maybe the new Bear had it backwards, and then I noticed that the WonderHit is the same way. So now the question is the Apex the one that's actually backwards? I don't know. Maybe. But again, I think that the big takeaway here with the Apex, just like the other two, is if you hit an animal and hit any organ, well, when I say any organ, okay, yeah, the skin's an organ, whatever. But if you hit any internal organs, a lung, a heart, whatever, it's putting the animal down. Okay, a decent shot is going to drop it if you can hit it. And I'm not even going to say at 100 yards or 100 meters because we've done it much, much, much further already. We've taken the WonderHit with a moose at 100 meters, or no, I'm sorry, it was the bear at 100 meters, and a moose through the shoulder, dropped it. It wasn't instant, but it dropped it. We took the elk at 100 meters. We took the elk again at almost 300 meters. Granted, it was spine, but the key thing was it had the energy it needed to do all the damage. So as far as picking which one to use, it's entirely up to you. You can use any of the three, and they are going to effectively drop anything you want with a decent shot. You can't shoot it in the leg and expect it to die. It's not classic, okay? So a decent shot will drop it. So what actually makes the difference in a head-to-head comparison? Well, I think that you have to look at energy, not because you need it in order to get the kill, but when you make a bad shot, maybe it comes in handy to have a little extra energy that you're dumping into the animal. So when we start looking at energies, it's a little easier to rank them. You're looking at the Apex Pro, the Buffden Apex Predator at the top of the heap. It's got more energy than anybody else. Let me grab that chart again real quick. Okay, so here's the chart again. If we look at the Apex and we just look at this 50 meters so that it's even across the board, it's got more energy, okay? So it's hitting with 265 joules, the bear at 190, the WonderHit at 123. Still plenty of power for the WonderHit to do anything you need, but if you're trying to rank them, the Apex is still going to be your more powerful option. Now, that power is coming from speed, and that speed is giving you a flatter trajectory, which is another bonus for the Apex. So when we start thinking about a flatter trajectory, that's built-in forgiveness. So if you're a little high or a little low, it's still going to hit close to where you wanted to hit because it's hitting or it's traveling on a flatter plane. There's not as much arc. So that's another benefit. Range is another benefit. So if you want to be able to use the new scope, the Bear Speed X, or X Speed, sorry, you have a longer built-in range with the Apex than you do with the Constrictor Pro or the WonderHit. If you look on the chart, you can see at the reticle line where it's listed as 100, you're able to reach out to 119 yards, spot on. You could effectively just say 120 to keep it easy because there's so little difference in height. 1 meter's not going to make a big difference. But 119. If we're looking at the bear, you're at about 112. And if you're looking at the WonderHit, you're at about 91. So it's not a huge deal because you're talking, 30 yards. That's not a huge difference between the Apex and the WonderHit. But when you start trying to compare like for likes, that is another vote for the Predator. Accuracy. That's another one that's like the killing ability. Perfectly even. They're all three the same. So accuracy is not going to give you any benefit using any one of these over the others. So really the only thing that we can compare is energy, flatness of shot, and effective range. Now, when I say effective range, I mean effective range using the lines in the scope. The overall effective range is probably going to be beyond what you can shoot accurately anyway. Their efficacy in killing is basically the same across the board. So in terms of shooting range, as far as what you can drop, they're all the same. Use what you want. Have have a favorite, don't have a favorite, mix them up, doesn't matter. But if we're going to try to rank them, it's going to be pretty much what I think everybody would have thought to begin with. The Apex Predator is going to be the top dog. The Bear Constrictor Pro is a very, very good option, and it's going to kind of be your second level. And the WonderHit, even though it's still very good and will drop anything you want, it's really going to be your third level weapon. It's just not in the same class as the Apex and the Bear in terms of energy and range. You just give up a lot dropping down to the WonderHit. All right, guys, so I think that's pretty much all I can say about these in a head-to-head battle. Um, Again, use what you want. There's absolutely no wrong answer, and that's great. But if you want the best of the best, roll with the Apex, and you've got the best of every opportunity you have, and you're not getting overkill. So it's just a win-win-win. All right, we're going to call this done. If you have any questions, please reach out on Discord or hit me up in the comments in the channel here. And we'll be back again soon with something else. All right, guys, y'all have a great night. God bless, and happy hunting.